Hey howdy hey y'all, Allison here, and let's talk about objectivity and subjectivity in film. I know, everyone's favorite subject, but stay with me guys, this is interesting stuff. Let's start with some ground rules. What is objectivity and subjectivity? Let's say you have a gourmet burger and a McDonald's burger. The objective opinion is that the gourmet burger is better. The subjective opinion would be your personal preference, whereas the objective opinion is just looking at it without any personal biases, any personal preferences, just looking at the two burgers as they are, tasting them of course, and saying which one is the superior burger. However, many people would argue that film is completely subjective, and there is no objective quality in film. But that's not true, and that's why we're here today. I'm here to explain to you guys why objectivity does exist in film, and why it matters. I think the reason many people think that objectivity does not exist in film is because film's an art, and art is subjective. Here's the thing though, film is just as much of an art as it is a craft. Let's say you have a carpenter who's been making chairs for 50 years, and he spends months and months working on this beautiful chair. It's got this look that's both modern but also timeless, and it's durable, it's sturdy, it'll hold the weight of an entire family of 4. And then you have me, who has no experience with carpentry at all, and I just get some cardboard boxes and I duct tape them to each other, and sure, it will hold the weight of a toddler or an adult who's like shifting their weight onto their feet a little bit, you know, not entirely putting their weight on the chair. And some may say, hey, I like the cardboard chair better, and good for you, man. I'm not here to hate on your subjective opinions. You do you, bro. But it's important to be able to acknowledge that the chair that had so much more work put into it and was made with so much more skill than my little cardboard chair, it's important to acknowledge all that work that went into it. To say that objectivity does not exist and that, you know, it's all subjective that's so disrespectful to that carpenter who spent so much time and energy not only to make the chair but to get to the skill level required to make that chair. Seriously, I think it's extremely disrespectful to say that objectivity in film does not exist, because film is the same way. I know in my video production class, I'll spend days, weeks, months on a project, and then someone will just kind of film something on their iPhone, vertically of course, and do minimal editing, 5 minutes at tops, and turn that in. For someone to tell me that, well, it's all subjective, no. Is the line between objectivity and subjectivity blurred sometimes? Yes, of course it is. But, in general, it is a real thing and it does exist and it is important. Like I said, I'm not here to hate on people with unpopular subjective opinions. But what does bother me is when someone takes their subjective opinion and passes it off like an objective opinion. For example, someone may say, I hate West Side Story, and I say, why do you hate West Side Story? Because it's a musical, and the characters just break out into song, and that's not realistic. Preference of realism over expressionism, that is a subjective opinion. I'm gonna argue with that person if they say that. I'm not arguing with their right to have an opinion, I'm arguing with the fact that they're passing their opinions as fact. But then that raises the question, what qualifies for objectivity? That answer is a very complex one. That's why we have critics. Critics have a much better understanding of what makes a film objectively better than your average Joe. And you may be wondering, why does objectivity even matter if it's subjectivity that ultimately determines if you're gonna like the film or not? It matters because the higher objective quality a film has, the more likely it is that you're gonna like it subjectively. For example, if you have a film that, like, the story is so cliched, so boring, it makes no sense, the editing is jarring, you can't figure out what's going on, the camera's shaking the entire time for no reason, there's no thematic depth to it, the characters are uninteresting, unengaging, it's an ugly movie, the colors are dull, shot composition is boring, repetitive, unoriginal. Sure, there's a good chance that somebody's gonna watch this movie and they'll be like, this is the best movie I've ever seen in my life. And there's no shame in feeling that. But critics have a much better understanding of film, not just as an art, but as a craft, so they can spot these objective problems much more easily than your average person. So they can tell you, yeah, this movie is objectively good. Doesn't mean you're gonna like it, but there's a better chance they're gonna like it than if it was objectively bad. So, in conclusion, objectivity does exist in film because it is a craft, not just an art. And to deny objective quality and just to say that the critics, they don't know what they're talking about, that's hugely disrespectful, not just to the critics who spent years of their lives dedicated to understanding film, and it's hugely disrespectful to the filmmakers and everyone who was involved in the project. I mean, just to pull in another example, you have a makeup artist who's supposed to make you look like you have like a cut on your face or something, and they just kind of take a Sharpie and they just draw a line. That's objectively bad. That's just a fact. So it's not just the filmmakers it's disrespectful to when you deny objectivity, it's disrespectful to everyone involved in the project. Because there are hundreds of people involved in any given movie. It's not just the director. So yeah, that about covers it. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful life. I love you all. Okay, bye!